Okay, let me call the meeting of the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen for the 6th of February, 2024 at 4:31 p.m. Okay, all right. We're going to start with, let me get this down here. Yeah, here we go. All right. Any public comment on the agenda items for today? Okay, hearing none.
There's nobody here in the public except for the cemetery association officers, so they get to talk throughout the meeting, right?
Yep, they do. But if they had anything they wanted to add, they could add anything there too. They're still public. Okay. All right. Let's go to number 3 then. We'll go to cemetery ordinance. We'll start right out at the beginning here. Let me get this out of my way. There we go. How's everybody doing today?
Very good.
Good.
Actually, we have someone here. We have someone from Surgeons of Hope I see in the audience. I think I've been getting a couple emails from her, I hope. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not from Surgeons of Hope. That's just my computer saying so. I'm Leila Hawken from the Lakeville Journal.
Oh, okay. Welcome then, Leila. Wasn't sure. It's kind of Surgeons of Hope in a cemetery meeting. It made me a little nervous there for a minute. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. I think everybody should have had a chance to look at the outlines and the whole track of all of our work on the ordinance from Bernadette's and Attorney DeBella all the way through. Joyce put together some input and kind of combined into outline of an ordinance and outline of a cemetery committee structure. I know Lynn added some things with the some questions, some other funding levels potentially, and some other duties of the section, which were good. And I think we're going to open it right up to hear from our cemetery associates, Bernadette or Tammy or anyone else. Do you guys have any comments you want to make at the beginning here?
Okay, so basically today what I brought in was like our job description. I didn't know if we worked on the ordinance as much. It looks like Tammy's got a copy of that.
Yeah, I think the ordinance where we left it the last time was that we made a few minor changes, but the biggest change, we were taking rules and regulations out of the ordinance for Attorney DeBella's suggestion to make it simpler. So I don't know, do we have a final on the ordinance?
So, yeah, and to add to that, I guess what we had understood was that Attorney DeBella was going to rewrite the ordinance just to be accepting of the Penn Cemetery Association rolling, and start us giving over the responsibilities and then having the Penn Town Hall initiate a cemetery association or committee to run what the association used to do. So we were waiting on that type of paperwork before we would comment on that.
Did you get what Joyce created?
Yes, that was a job description type.
And the ordinance and the thing were in the meeting folder. Did you not look at those?
No, I didn't look at the meeting.
I did.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Joyce had taken the recommendation from both Bernadette, from you, and from Randy. We parsed out the whole. Part of the issue was we wanted to make the ordinance broad enough and constructive enough that it would give the committee the right charge, but didn't have too many details that would confuse the committee itself, or confuse the ordinance enough that we had to change the ordinance quite a bit, which is a cumbersome process. As you know, guys go to a town meeting and so on. So that's what Joyce did. I asked her to go ahead and take a stab at taking what was already there. Okay, bring it up on the screen. There you go. Randy, have you had a chance to look at this? I know you're on. I think you're on now.
Can you make it a little bigger,
I'm
Joyce?
trying.
If you go under where it says 100%, you should be able to make it.
I can move it, though, hold on. I'm moving cards over here.
I'm here, Marty. I'm sorry, for some reason I can't get the video, but, or I can't, transmit video. In any event, yes, I reviewed everything.
Is that 100%? I think you need to go one.
Perfect.
Okay, we go.
I'll try to move it up, sorry.
This is different. Is it changed since that use? I'm just looking at it. Yes.
And,
Okay.
As you can see by my advisory, I really wanted exactly what Marty said. I want to have the ordinance authorize or recognize a cemetery committee as well, because I don't think the detail that was in the original ordinance or the one that was tendered is too much. I think it's too much. The reason for that is because the ordinance should authorize or should take over the obligations, but then it should delegate to a committee. The committee should, by way of its own bylaws and regulations and rules, that should be the entity that creates the operational bylaws. And that's what I tried to do.
I think, Randy, I think that's what we talked about. I think that's what Joyce put together in her outline of the ordinance and the committee. I don't know if did you see Joyce's input to that?
I did not see Joyce's. No, that was not something.
Okay.
But the reality is that we don't want to have a ordinance that has that kind of a detail, because then every time you want to make a change, you can't be nimble. You have to warn a public hearing and amend the ordinance.
Right.
And Lynn has sent some really good questions the other day, and I'm going to get those to her. There is a provision in there that could be flexible enough in the way the ordinance is drafted, as I revisions, to take care of those questions. Many of them will be handled at the committee level.
Right.
Okay, can we scroll that up or not? I just have one question. If you cannot get 5 members to volunteer on the cemetery committee, what happens at that point?
Then you'd have to have some participation in that event by the Board of Selectmen.
Correct. Yeah, right. You're right. That would Board of Selectmen have to take over that aspect until we could get 5 members. I don't know if I don't know the tenor of the town, whether people are interested in this yet. There might be people interested.
I have someone who told me that he would volunteer on, he thought he would volunteer on the committee, but we've been talking it up, and so far I've got one.
Okay. Well, we'll have to, yeah. Whether we end up with the committee of the whole of the Board of Selectmen acting upon as the temporary cemetery committee, I mean, Randy, you think we could do that? I think, right? So if we had to put it off, yeah, if we start off that way, then we can move this forward until we can gain a full committee, and we may make a little bit more arm twisting. I'm sorry if I I'm still dealing with whatever the heck infection I got in. Sorry. But yeah, so we would have to take that up as the Board of Selectmen, and I think we could get this started. We just have to work it through. Now, if you guys need a moment, why don't we put, if you all got the ability to look at the write-ups that Joyce has, and anything that she's done so far, we can take a minute and pause and have you review that. I think since you've seen the original, you've all commented on it before, you heard Attorney DeBella's comments, and I think you'll see that we're trying to work this. And at that point, let's take a minute or two to make sure everybody's had a chance to look at it. And then we can get back to actually, chewing on it a little bit and answer some of the specific questions that Lynn had and others may have as well. Does that work for everybody?
And where do we find it?
On the website, the meeting. I don't know if you have that. If you have a computer with you, I can't see right now, but
My phone. Is this it or is this not it? Oh,
So it's the original document that you guys went back and forth with Randy several times, and it's just the first portion that all I did was paste and copy. I didn't create it, I didn't change the language. I simply paste and copied the very first section of it. So if you have what you sent back and forth to Randy, it's exactly up to the general rules section. And then I took the general rules section and the extra and put that in a regulation/bylaws. I just changed the numbering and added the chapter. I didn't change any verbiage or mix anything up that you guys have already agreed upon.
I just want to make sure that the money is out of there. Can we keep
So
scrolling?
one of our questions,
Actually, no
Well, there
reference
was to it.
There's actually no reference to money, which is one of my questions.
Yeah, there was in the original one, and I wanted to make sure that the committee, the new cemetery committee, has no access to money. In the original, it read like they did.
so our question is that it said in the original one that the committee would, you know, say contract out and do this and do that, but if they don't have the ability to write a check, how does that happen?
And they should not have that ability.
Why shouldn't they be able to? They're gonna be a department of the town, basically.
Well, they have a
So would go through the treasurer
Okay,
in terms of like, but they have to authorize expenses.
that's fine, that's fine. But the way it read before, it was, they would be able to expend.
Yeah, well, they will because they're gonna be given a budget. They're gonna be a department, they're gonna have a budget. So within
That's
that
fine.
budget, they have the ability to expend money.
But it's still
So
to
it's
actually
clear.
write a check or make a payment.
Tammy, it's in the first statement, I think is what you're looking for.
Where is it?
So it talks about,
Oh, there it is,
yeah, so it's right there, that's what you're looking
It's the
for.
Board of Finance and the cemetery committee shall have authority on behalf of the town to accept from the Kent Cemetery Association any funds, assets, or rights which that association may transfer or assign to which may transfer or assign to the cemetery committee. We're not transferring our funds to the cemetery committee. We're transferring the funds to the town of Kent.
Yeah,
For the
it's
cemetery.
it's miswritten here. It's you're transferring it to the town of Kent, correct?
Yeah, that was my big sticky point.
Okay.
That was it.
That's a good one. That's a good one to stick on.
We'll just check.
Can I mention, since we're on this sentence, it follows, at which point KCS will be dissolved?
No, it's
Yes.
Kent Cemetery Association. Yeah, it's throughout. Yeah.
All right, so that should be KC. Okay, so that's that, all right, KCA.
Yeah, it should be KCA.
And then is this the time that we should bring up the endowment funds?
Yeah, you might as well. We're on the finance side.
Well, I mean, when we dissolve, all our assets will be transferred in one way or another, and this will be between Barbara and Attorney DeBella to figure out how that's going to happen, but we're going to transfer we will have no money. And then Attorney DeBella will help us dissolve.
Right, and I guess
It's very easy. In other words, whatever the bank requires as far as a transfer is fine. Barbara will take the funds, deposit them in the presumably the general fund, and as long as everything matches going in and going out vis-a-vis any appropriations and things of that nature, all I really care about is Barbara being satisfied and the auditors being satisfied. But the transfer is mechanically, I believe, subject to Barbara's veto on this. I believe it's rather simple.
Yeah, I agree with you, Randy. And I talked to her the other day about this Friday. It'll go the same way as we did with the Kent Veterans Committee. You guys are familiar with that. It goes into the general fund, but there's a special section that allocates and it continues to track the funds that are put in so that they stay directly related to the cemetery committee or the cemetery operations of the cemetery, Kent Cemetery Committee now. So yeah, she'll have that oversight exactly, Randy, to ensure that the auditing process stays clean. And we've done that for a certain number of other organizations that have been taken over by the town. The biggest one right now that our board just dealt with the other day was explanation of the finances for the Kent Veterans Committee. So it'll be done in that same way.
And our treasurer is very experienced. I mean, this is not something that's going to intimidate her. And the reality is that you've never done this before, but it does happen. And don't forget, going forward, every time there's going to be a budget, that means there will be an appropriation, irrespective of whether or not the money's there or is going to be there. So nothing happens without being appropriated, and no checks are written without the checks and balances that we have under Connecticut law. So I think everything will work out very well.
And I just added just a teensy bit of clarification for everybody.
Barbara?
The funding will not go to the general fund. It goes to a special fund that's non-lapsing. The annual appropriations are part of the general fund, and that money will stay in the general fund. And if the appropriation isn't spent by the end of the fiscal year, it would revert back to the general fund. You can't appropriate money over to a special fund. So the special fund will be used to supplement whatever expenditure that the appropriation doesn't cover.
Just like what we do now, right?
So what is, you guys use the special fund for certain things, like, I
Well,
remember.
we have there are two financial streams now. The town of Kent, in their budget, in their annual budget, issued a grant, what they called a grant, to the Kent Cemetery Association. That grant was used exclusively for the mowing and trimming of the cemeteries. Now, that grant never covered the complete cost of the mowing and trimming of the cemeteries. So the Kent Cemetery Association always added to that to cover the annual maintenance fees. Then we had our separate funds, which we gathered over 100 years of donations. We would run a membership drive every year. And those funds were kept for special things that we did, special maintenance that we did in the cemeteries, such as replacing the ancient fencing around St. Andrew's Cemetery. That was done a good number of years ago.
Obelisk.
Yeah,
Repeat.
redoing, yeah, I'll throw that under stone repair. But so we did the fencing at St. Andrews. We rebuilt all the stone pillars at Skiff Mountain. We would periodically budget $5,000 a year for memorial stone repair. In that, a couple of years ago, we straightened the giant obelisk in St. Andrew's Cemetery, which was on the verge of toppling over and would have destroyed the cemetery. We also would use that fund for cutting back the borders of the cemetery, you know, where the vegetation would grow into the cemetery. Every 2 years, we would do a major cutback. Bulls Bridge and Congregational Cemetery in St. Andrews and Skiff Mountain.
In Flanders?
We didn't do a lot in Flanders because it really didn't need it. In Good Hill, it didn't really require a lot, but those other cemeteries always required quite a bit. So those are the kinds of things that would be used for special projects. And I would assume the money that we're transferring that would sit in the special fund, that's where that money would come from. You guys are still going to have a budget line item to cover the everyday expenses of the cemeteries, which is the mowing, the trimming, I don't know if the town's going to consider winter maintenance or not. We never had winter maintenance, but it's something the town might decide they want to do. And then you're going to have some computer costs. We spent all this weekend working with Jonathan Matson and Chronicle to completely computerize Flanders Cemetery for you, which we're paying for. That way, whoever the new sexton is going to come in and have a completely computerized program for Flanders.
Yeah.
We
Well, wouldn't
think
that, Marty, but Barbara and Marty, wouldn't that be just the normal budget process whereby the committee would file or submit to the selectmen a proposed budget, and then that would be in the normal course how it would be handled? Or am I incorrect on that?
No, I think you're correct.
So how much more did you guys have to pay for the mowing and trimming that over the 44,000 that the town was giving?
Yeah, we usually, I think last year we paid an extra 3,000. We've paid up to an extra 5,000 when the town didn't give us that much, when it was, we were always very cost conscious with what we asked the town for. But
And how much do you guys have to pay for the computerized stuff? Is that
Right.
well ongoing? That sounds like an ongoing thing.
it's not too bad. The ongoing is going to be what, 360?
360 a year. Jonathan Matson negotiated a great contract for us. So essentially, what the endowment fund, I call it the endowment fund, or what our funds were used for was Chronicle will sends a team up, and they have drones to map or to survey the two they've done 2 cemeteries so far, Flanders, or they're working on it, Flanders and Congregational. And so after they have the drone system, then they plot out all the grave sites, and then on that it's going to be interactive, what we were working on is the data of who's buried there. Now they want to know who purchased the graves.
Yeah, that's what we did yesterday.
That's what we did yesterday. And then their next step would be going to the town's records, to the sexton's reports, and getting like the burial dates and things of that, and more detailed information.
Yeah, Jonathan and I were in the town clerk's office yesterday, and we showed Jonathan's going to work on his own now on that project.
We've hired him to do that.
Yeah, we've
So
hired.
how much do you pay Jonathan? Because I'm just trying to have an idea of what all these costs are.
So for Jonathan, we contracted with him to do Flanders for $1,500. It was approximately $6,000 to have Chronicle come in.
But we paid Jonathan 3,000 now.
Okay.
Because he's doing he's almost done with Flanders, and he's going to start working on the Congregational Cemetery.
And that's what we've contracted
So we've
Chronicle to do.
Yeah, we've paid that, and we've paid Chronicle 6,000 to do the flyovers and set them all up on their computer maps.
So is there costs that are still out there for the other 4 cemeteries?
We don't think we're going to tackle that. If the town wants to tackle that at some point, that's something that your new cemetery committee can discuss. We don't have the backup records for those other cemeteries because they're so old. We could possibly do Bulls Bridge because South Kent School worked on Bulls Bridge a good number of years ago and gave us a nice report. We have the big books on Good Hill. We have the big books on all the cemeteries, but they're 100, they go back to the 1700s.
Right.
There's no deeds. There's
Yeah.
So it would look different. It would look different.
Yeah.
So I guess what I wanted to say was that, we did contract with them, so it sounds as if, that they would do the flyovers and things like that. It's about $6,000 to do. If you did all the cemeteries at once, you'd reduce the price. Every time they have to come up separately, it's gonna be, additional monies.
Okay.
But
Did you guys, can I ask a question here? Did you guys bid this out at all, or did you just go with one company to do this? And
No,
did you?
Jonathan researched a lot of different companies and this is one. They actually just finished doing Cornwall.
North Cornwall.
Yeah.
And you never, and you never asked them to give you a total, estimate?
They have.
We have it in writing. I don't like to quote numbers by heart.
That's
I always
okay.
like to
No,
look
that's
at my
okay. I just want to know if you,
so it'd probably be approximately $6,000 to come up and do the other cemeteries if you did it all at once. We did Jonathan negotiated with them that they would, generally speaking, they charge you like say $300 per cemetery annually, and that was way out of our budget. It would have been $3,000 annually. And we said, there's no way we can do that. So essentially they're going to cap it. We have a letter saying that they would cap it and it would only be like, I don't know, $400 or like $600 a year for all the cemeteries, up to 8 cemeteries.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
But the thing is with the other cemeteries, we don't do a lot of burials in them. If you wanted to do those other cemeteries, that's pretty much for historical record.
Right.
Where you're
Gotcha.
burying in is Flanders Cemetery and the Congregational Cemetery. So
Okay.
those are the ones that you should be spending your money on.
And all the records you have so far could be sent over to us, to the committee, Board of Selectmen, whatever it may be, so that we will need some estimates for our budget for this year, or for this coming year anyway. So, okay, that's good. If we can get all that information from you that you've done, that's a good step forward on cost accounting. Okay.
Since we're talking about the numbers of cemeteries,
Yeah.
I looked, we happened to be Googling things on Sunday. And I think this is a chapter from the Historical Society. And it states here that Morehouse and Parcells are 2 private cemeteries that were given over to the Kent Cemetery Association to take care of. And that was kind of news to us. So
I emptied the safe deposit box for the Cemetery Association last week. And I found the deed that was transferred for the Morehouse Cemetery to the town of Kent, which we have never taken care of. The Parcells Cemetery, we have no information on at all. So it may say that it's ours, but we have no documentation saying that it is.
Okay. I'm not sure where those are located. Where's Morehouse and Purcell's?
Morehouse is off Richards Road. I don't know. I see Rick is on. Rick, do you know where Morehouse Cemetery is? It's probably private property.
So they're off of Richards Road and Gorham Roads.
Okay, Gorham, okay, on top of the hill. Right,
One on Richards Road is just where you break the top of the hill heading towards the pond.
Mhm.
The one on Gorham is Mark Spedick used to live. That
Right,
property.
gotcha. Yeah, on the peak, up on the peak here. Okay, all right, yeah, we'd have to figure out if we actually had a responsibility for those. We might want to adjust our ordinance to say in any other cemeteries as a sign, just so we don't get stuck, not having them in the ordinance. But I think we could do that. I don't know if Randy, could we do that to cover ourselves for what else we might find out?
Yes, I think it's a good idea, so you don't have to go ahead and revise the ordinance every time you find out about another property.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Okay, great. All right, we'll go ahead and do that then. Okay, as I said, do you guys want to take a look at how Joyce just organized the ordinance to the committee, jobs and responsibilities? Did you guys get a chance to look at any of that yet?
I know it's hard to understand.
I know, I didn't quite get that. Are we talking about the sexton now or just the ordinance?
No, just on the ordinance, we're gonna kind of start at the large piece of the ordinance and we'll work our way down to sexton, to the position and so on. So real quickly, if you want to look at how the ordinance, Randy, do you have access to those now? Did you see those?
I don't have the job description, but I
Right.
just put Joyce had put up on the screen here. So
Okay,
this is the first I'm seeing that.
so the sixth,
Lynn has some good ideas in her questions to me, such as the staggered terms, have that, the alternates and things of that nature. There is a provision in it that already authorizes the cemetery committee to be formed by the BOS. So I'm not concerned with that. And there's also language in here that talks about the Board of Selectmen can exercise powers as well.
Right. So
as
this,
far as go ahead, Mark.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Randy.
As far as it goes, it does what it's supposed to do, but the regulations, but the association or the committee, I should say, should have the specific authority to create rules and regulations for the operation of the cemeteries and the administration of it as well. And again, the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance have to pass upon a budget anyway, so I'm not overly concerned about the money aspect. Plus, the fact is that it's going to become in the normal budgetary process. Not worried about that. Many towns have committees, boards, and commissions that create their own regulations and bylaws, and I'm not concerned at all. I think that's what gets done here. They decide who their officers are, and they decide the scope and the breadth of their rules and regulations.
Right.
I think it's pretty
Do we
good.
want to, Joyce, do you want to put up the committee information you had before? Can you do that?
Let me have that. All right. Oops, sorry. So again, this is just the document that you guys all agreed on that I just separated.
Mhm.
So it goes on to the pages.
See, this looks like it's Joyce, it's in accordance with my recommendations, I believe.
Yep, and I didn't change anything, correct?
Yeah, this is excellent. This is good work, frankly.
Randy, does the ordinance need to reference that the committee can form regulations?
Yeah, the ordinance should give the committee, there should be a line in it that the committee has authority to promulgate and adopt its rules and regulations for the operations of the administration and operation of the cemeteries. That's a one-line issue, and that's very easy, but that's correct. It does need that.
Okay.
Lynn asked that as well, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that I think that the regulations need to include that isn't here is there needs to be a reference, I think, to the need for post-burial paperwork that needs to be completed and filed with the town clerk, filed in accordance with state and federal laws with the town clerk, and list the cremation certificate, transit reports, updates to maps, records, etc. Because there's nowhere in the regulations does it reference that, and that's a duty of the sexton. And I think that probably needs to go under section 4, interments.
I was gonna ask where.
Yeah, because that's where it made logical sense to me, but. You guys would know best.
No, the language that Lynn put in her question, by the way, can go right in there. That language is pretty specific.
Just a quick question on the dates. I mean, here it says April 15th, other things said April 1st. I was just wondering if that's solid, or if that's what you want.
What have you guys been using?
We're open year round if weather permits.
Except for this year, when
Yeah.
Bill and I stepped back. Then we said there was no way we could do all of this and continue, so we closed. We closed on December 1st. We ended up doing a burial on the 9th because it was important to do. And we said we would open April 1st, which is the date that the town will need to have their sexton, everything in place.
So in the past, you wouldn't have made a distinction.
No, we would, as long as we could get into the cemeteries, we would do a burial. Now, if there's 2 feet of snow, no, we did not do burials because we had no winter maintenance.
Well, G kind of explains that it has control over scheduling based on the weather and so on. So I think we kind of cover that in G, in section G there. It just finds the winter months if there's a need to. So.
Very true. Thanks, Marty.
Sure. Yeah, it was a good, good catch based on everybody's comments before, I think, except for the date, but we got that fixed. I think April 1st sounds good enough.
On number B, on plots that have a central memorial, 1 flower bed, if you can't have flower beds, I would take that whole I would take 1 flower bed right out of there. Maybe installed adjacent.
These are issues for the committee. They really aren't.
Yeah, it's.
Board of Selectmen doesn't have to talk about floral decoration and things of that.
Yeah, yeah. Did that? Was that obviously it was something we took out of what had been passed around before? So.
Yeah, if you start allowing flower beds in, your cost of maintenance is going to go sky high. So.
Okay. All right. Good input.
So we don't have veteran sections, just an FYI. Just throughout the cemeteries.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's letter K. So we can take that, you could take that out.
Take out the whole thing, I guess. Yeah, take out all of K, Joyce. If you're doing that, just take it all out.
You see, you here, well.
What's okay going on or not?
Well, no, because no shrubs, flower boxes, or plants embedded in the ground are allowed.
Well, we kind of say that already, don't we?
Yeah, and then flower pots may be placed near the headstone on holiday, weekends is fine. But see, you're saying there that you can't have flower boxes or plants embedded, and up there you were saying you could have a flower bed, you know?
You guys already reviewed this, so it's not us saying, I mean, we need
Exactly,
to.
exactly, just clarifying, yes, thank you. Well, we didn't want to step on toes too when we were, because we didn't know what you wanted to have. So this is our first discussions with this.
Mhm.
Jointly.
The foundation. And I'm thinking.
Let's see, 4 feet, yeah, we changed it, they had it way deeper than 2 feet.
Okay.
You have a comment, Rick?
I know in letter F, we were concerned that 40, well, it's a minimum, 48 hours a minimum. So that would probably be fine.
Section.
C,
Yeah, minimum
mentions
notice.
water. None of the cemeteries have water in them, do they?
No, none of them have water. Well, the Catholic Church has water,
But that's.
but they're across the driveway from Flanders. It's a pump,
Okay.
but it's on the Catholic side.
So C doesn't really,
You know, unless you're gonna put water inside, like I'm thinking today, but I'm thinking down the road too.
but the neat thing about the regulations is they can be changed.
Yeah,
But if they don't, if water does not exist right now, we shouldn't be referencing.
okay.
Taking it out.
So, yeah, let's say C is not relevant right now.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned in F, you mentioned a town cemetery fee schedule for the inspection of foundations. So you might want to carry that one over to your sheet that says Town of Kent Cemetery Fee Schedule and decide what kind of a fee you want to assess.
Are you guys assessing a fee right now or no?
No, we don't do anything for the families. We don't charge. We have,
That's additional,
that would be something the town's going to do that we never did.
so let's.
We never charged for monument location. We never charged for inspections for the stone foundations. That was just something we did.
Is that something other places do?
Yes, they do.
So you guys wouldn't even know how much that fee would be then?
I'm going to guess that it would probably be, just to look at the foundation, I'm gonna guess it would be $50 maybe. I mean, that's,
Okay.
you know. I can't imagine charging $100 to go do that. I think that's exorbitant.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at the whole fee schedule again. It's different. Obviously, everything is different every time you go to a different town. If we should find that out, have to find something that will work for here, for sure.
I
Marty,
know that,
Lynn had made a,
Yeah, I know that other cemeteries and cemetery associations always charge for monument placement location.
Right.
And those fees can be a little bit of money, I guess.
Marty, Lynn had made had a question whether or not the fee schedule should be in the ordinance or by the committee. I think it should be promulgated by the committee and approved by the Board of Selectmen under their
Yeah,
regulations.
I agree.
This is
I
so,
agree.
so it does not have to be in the ordinance.
No, I don't think it needs to be in the ordinance. Yeah, it should stay in the committee because if we do change it or adjust it as we need it, budgetary reasons or whatever may come up. Yeah, the committee hopefully so.
Exactly.
We see that and then we'll review any of that change. Not easier. That's smarter. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
So now you're on the receiving vault. So do you want to leave a vault fee will be assessed? I mean, a vault fee will be assessed.
So is the vault owned by the cemetery association right now?
The vault
Or
is
is
part
it-
of St. Andrew's
I
Cemetery.
thought, so you guys have to pay St. Andrews a fee?
The town owns it.
Oh, okay. Lots of them here.
St. Andrews owns nothing, except their little piece right behind the church where they bury cremation.
Okay.
Just the name.
Yeah, and Tammy has taught me that the vault contains a lot of bodies from other towns. So any person's being buried in a town cemetery can have use of the vault.
No, they have to
No?
pay too.
They have to pay too?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I didn't know
everyone
that.
who goes into the vault pays.
And the fee is?
The fee's $200.
Okay.
But that's pretty inexpensive because you're there for a good number of months.
Cheap rent.
Hmm?
Cheap rent.
Yeah, it's rent.
Gonna get me coughing here.
Yeah, this is cemetery humor.
Good point, Tammy. Good point. Yeah.
Which we have a lot.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure over time you guys have come up with a few duties. I think I heard Bill tell me a couple over the time. Yeah. So how does this look overall to you all? Tammy, Bernadette, Lynn, Glenn,
Well,
what do you guys think?
we've gone over it a good number of times.
Right.
It looks good. It looks fine.
Okay. All right. What I think we need to do then is to look at Lynn's fee schedule and see if we can come up with at least a standard outline of the fee schedule that we can start with. And then see if we can't put this together. And then I'd like to do, if we agree that the ordinance is broad enough, the committee is as specific as we can get right now with a logical fee schedule, so we can start 1 April. Get it back to Randy for one quick, view of the attorney, and then we prove it to this point pending an attorney review. And at that point, if it comes back, then we'll schedule the town meeting and then start searching for people who want to be on the committee and section. Let's look at this. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself a bit. Let's look at the section duties that we pulled together. Lynn pulled together.
Oh, are the fees gonna be pretty quick though? Because maybe we could just hammer that out.
Yeah, the fees will be quick.
Okay. Why don't we tackle the fee?
Yeah, well, I'm still thinking about the committee. Let's look at the section. The fees we'll get that done quick. Let's look at the section just so we don't have any lingering issues between matching what the ordinance says, the committee, and then the section. I think we need to take a look at that. There's some questions in there, so let's do that, and then we could do. We can let Randy get out of here, and then we could do the fee schedule. Joyce, can you share that? Are you sharing that now?
Lynn has
Can you share it, Lynn? Yeah, Lynn, can you share it? Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was out for a second. Sorry. Trying to keep the dogs from barking. Well, if we do it, whatever we can come up with, whatever we can share on the screen first, whether the fee schedule or the sections duties. Can someone bring that up?
Can I just share the document with you so you can do it?
Are you in the waiting room?
Pardon?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared, so I didn't go to my email, they didn't say that I didn't download it, so I apologize, I was working on getting the room up and running today.
God damn it, dogs! Stop it.
There's just this, this we were gonna take it.
Mhm.
So I pulled information from the town of Coventry, which had some information out on the internet, and also a place in Maine, Forest Field, Maine, or something like that. So I just, in the salary, I Googled that a while ago, and that's what I came up with. So obviously all the stuff can be changed.
I
The
know
only
when
question I
you,
had is for direct reports, could be an assistant, could be the assistant sexton as assigned. Right?
But are we gonna start off with a sexton and an assistant, or are we just gonna try to
As
hire?
assigned, I think, talking to a couple people, they've said assistants are helpful to have. I don't know if we'll find one, but if we put it in there, we just outlined that the assistant would be as assigned, would be their direct report. And if we don't have one, there's not assigned, but at least we could put it in there. That way
Are you
we
guys
know that at
hearing
some
them?
point.
Having a hard
Yeah,
time
it's
hearing
hard
you.
to say that.
I'm really having a hard time hearing you, Marty.
Okay.
It's not volume, it's more,
So are you, what is the wording that you think should be there under direct reports?
Assistant sexton as assigned.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's none assigned, then there's no direct report. But at least it's in there so they know when they look at this, whoever may apply knows that they might have an assistant section or could have an assistant sexton.
Okay.
Sexton, excuse me.
And my thought was, since we don't really know how many hours, to put it as a salaried part-time position, much like the assessor is. So it would be a set amount, a salaried amount for the year. And then we could adjust it as in the next year to see how it goes.
That's an interesting piece. Lynn, I know it's tough. It's tough to figure that out. I don't know if it's a per diem based on, I mean, there's obviously responsibilities that transcend even dealing with a specific burial. And if there's a lot going on, it may exceed 29 hours. I don't know how we would work that out. Randy, I don't know if you're still here. That's why I kind of wanted to ask that. Is there some way so that we're, you know, not that we don't want to
Yeah, I'm here.
pay. Yeah, but is there a way we can classify this job so that if there's a run-on salary of work, big storm and so on, the individual has to work quite a bit on a couple of cemeteries to clean it up, or we have a rash of burials that need to be done in a certain time period. Is there any way we can work this on a per diem
The only
basis?
way I can see you doing that frankly, it's not a union issue, so I'm not concerned with it, but
No.
you have a posted salary, a fixed salary. What I would say is that you could do it by an hourly rate. I mean, you could, because if you have, let's say you have a hurricane or a Hurricane Sandy or whatever it was, and this person is working, 50 or 60 hours to get this stuff done, they're going to have to be paid by per hour, because that's going to very greatly exceed the reasonable value of the work. So I would suggest that you might want to do some simple math and say, how many hours a week is authorized now? Divide it to 28,000, whatever it is, and determine what the hourly rate would be.
Okay.
I mean, that's my
And if we,
recommendation.
okay, and just in the HR piece to it, if we go over that a certain amount, they work 40 hours or something like that. Even if we're doing it at an hourly rate, we're not obligated at that point to consider them a full-time employee with benefits and so on. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. It's an hourly rate. So,
Right.
and it's an expected, whatever it was, 29 hours. That's the expected.
Yeah, expected. Okay. Okay. We can look at that. I don't actually have a calculator.
I have a general question, just because presently, the sexton is paid, just receives the money that's from a burial, which is $750 or whatever it is now, $250.
Yeah,
So which is very low. Now, would the fees for burial fees go into the town budget then, and not?
That's what we're gonna talk about there.
Yeah, I suggest that go into the line as a revenue line. I don't really think somebody should be paid. We don't pay our DPW guys, per plow job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it's-
but this is.
Just curious.
This is my question about this. First of all, I shouldn't say you are, but you will probably keep the maintenance company that has been taking care of the cemeteries now for close to 30 years. And that's L&R Enterprises, along with Swaller Hill, I think it's called. Swaller works under L&R Enterprises. Now, when trees would come down in the past, if Bill could manage them on his own, he would get rid of them. If he couldn't, he would call Rick, and Rick would help with the town crew. You're sort of talking like you're going to count on the sexton to do this work. Well, that means that the sexton has to have all this pretty major equipment to take trees down and whatnot. And I think that's probably not the sexton's job.
No, we're not talking that, Tammy, you're right. We would work with the town crew since it's a town position. But if there was when we do have one of these storms that come through now and then, seem to have more of them, if that individual, the sexton, needs to be at two different locations, the length of time, as well as work on, potentially continue with any burials and so on that may occur before or even after, if it takes a couple of days, that individual is going to spend some time on the job with the town crew, overseeing any, the work, as well as, what maintenance and support for any of the downed headstones or whatever it may be. Sorry.
So it would be supervision, not the actual.
Correct. No. It's all supervision. Correct. No, you're right. We're planning on keeping probably the organization, at least that does that maintenance now. Certainly we'll have to put it out to bid and all, but however it works out, we'll keep that in. No, that person's not doing them.
Okay.
I actually would like us to look at whether or not it makes sense to hire a new town crew person to do mowing of the cemeteries and also perhaps maintenance at the town parks. And also maintenance of the town buildings. I think that's something we should be looking at and see if it makes financial sense and also fulfills the need that the town is having right now.
That's been my suggestion for the last 15 years.
Yeah, so I think Marty, I really think we have to look at that. I mentioned that to Rick this week to see if it made sense. Because I think
we'll have to, yeah. Yeah, that's something, well, we can, that's not where we're gonna go right now with this, but.
No,
yeah,
I understand. I just wanted to bring it
yeah.
up. So what's the wording that should be here? Should it, is overseeing the wrong word? Should it be supervision or something? I was thinking, I don't know what the right wording should be there.
No, I think overseeing is fine, and supervising hired contracted volunteer personnel. No, I think that sounds fine. Randy, does he have any issue with that? I don't see any issue.
No, it
with
looks
wording.
great. We all know what that means, and that's
Yeah,
the
that's
hallmark
pretty-
of writing regulations, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is pretty well written, by the way.
The minimum qualifications, you know, you'd be really lucky if you got someone with 5 years of experience.
Yeah, it may be a little bit much.
It might be too ambitious, you know?
It might be, but yeah, can we go down?
Think of one person
scroll
that
down?
qualifies for that.
Oh, one second, sorry. She's all the way down to minimum.
Right.
Minimum qualifications.
We could always hope, Tammy, we could always hope.
Well, we can strike that. I mean, I erred on the side of too much, so.
Right. Well, that's all right, but you kind of have it in the section above, knowledge of facilities, materials, methods, and procedures, knowledge and ability. If they show that, then it's not 5 years, or if they have more, we might get somebody who actually knows what they're doing. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I would move it to preferred qualifications,
Okay.
not minimum
Right.
qualification.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Just make it preferred and do with minimum.
Yeah.
Substitutions allowed. Yeah. See, we kind of got ourselves out of that, but just take that out. No, leave it there. Well, you could put all the qualifications under preferred, or just take minimum qualifications, substitutions allowed out, and just sort of preferred qualifications, and just go from there. It's preferred, but isn't mandated.
Once you remove that whole heading, Lance, the whole minimum qualification.
Yeah, just change the heading.
Just make
Yeah,
it
just
preferred.
change the heading. Right. Just change the heading. You got it.
Anyone else?
I think
It's a.
and I was curious, I was thinking about asking for ensured placement and removal of flags on graves of veterans, including those of private cemeteries, only because, but I think it's all right, because, the veterans group is in
Right.
charge of
That's it.
and.
Yeah, the American.
and-
That's our duty in the American Legion. We've been doing that for forever.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
continue to do that.
so I think the sexton will just be ensuring that the flags or should the sexton not be involved in that at all? It's probably all right.
It's probably our. And we can add something to it if there's something happens in down the line. So there's no veterans left. We may have to do something, but hopefully there's at least a couple of us hanging around.
Yeah.
A few more years.
I think the veterans deserve that.
Yeah, we've been doing that. It's kind of an honor to do it, actually. We always get a large group of people, young and old. So I'm being the young one. That's crazy. Okay.
And I do want to mention that I'm glad that Lynn included the confidentiality statement here, because that's of utmost importance when it comes to your sexton.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's still sometimes.
Hmm.
Oh, computer skills listed in here, I didn't see that. I didn't see basic
I think
computer
computer
skills
skills.
listed in here. Okay.
I saw it somewhere.
I know I just got it.
Where did I see that one?
That was not.
So maybe having basic computer skills needed to update online mapping system and other work is required.
That's what I had.
Because we had it in Arbor, but it's
Hold
not.
on.
in the-
We'll show this to Lynn.
Yeah, I think the only reference I have is provide cemetery and burial information to the town.
This is another one, but experience with customer service, computer proficiency and interest in.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're trying.
We had made up a whole
There you go.
job description on the side of yours, Lynn, and then you came out with a beautiful one.
It's all those including the online system, so they need not only basic computer skills, but knowledge of how to just learn that system.
Right.
Okay. I put that under abilities, knowledge, skill, and abilities. Yeah. Anything else?
Let's go back to the salary and do an hourly compilation. I think if we're gonna look to do that.
I think having just an opinion, having a salary job is probably a good idea because we don't really know how much time Tammy would take, discussing issues with the family members and coordinating different aspects of burials.
Your conversation can go on. I mean, like when I'm contacted by a family, it can take on average 5 phone calls. And some of those phone calls are long.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And I think if you start putting someone on, on the clock, it's gonna add up kind of quick.
I think it might be difficult to have like that stopwatch, okay? Started a phone call and I ended the phone call. It'd be difficult. I think myself, I know I would have difficulty keeping track of those hours.
That was why I was thinking about a salary, but I mean, from what Randy was saying, is that we want to make sure it's a part-time job, because we don't want to have to pay benefits.
Yeah, that's the
So-
issue at that point.
What, can you repeat that, Marty?
No, great. We want to keep this as a part-time job. We didn't want to get into over the 30-hour limit. But if, just trying to find the best way to do it. Excuse me. I understand there's a lot of hourly, but I don't know.
Tammy, in your experience, have you ever gone over 30 hours in a week?
Well, when Bill does, you have to remember that Bill and I work together on this. So on some burials, Bill can spend a good part of 2 days
Yep.
getting a site ready for a full burial. And then I spend a good amount of hours between the funeral home, the family, contacting Gowell Excavation, getting all that ready. And I'm going to say conservatively that one burial takes 8 hours.
And how many, I know it's a crazy thing to ask specifically, but how many burials would you have in a week? What has been your biggest, maybe
Well,
you
you
could.
don't have a lot of burials. You have,
Right.
you're going to have, I don't know, between 12 and 20 burials a year.
A year.
But it's all the other stuff that keeps coming in. There's the monument company calls and, you've got to do that. You've got people in the vault. You've got people that call and want the location of their deceased loved one, which they haven't visited in the last 20 years. So you have to meet them in the cemetery. I mean, there's a lot to it that kind of doesn't have anything to do with putting someone in the ground.
It's a lot of logistics of.
Which is why we really wanted to get the computer information on Flanders, so that who's ever sexton can say, well, go to this website.
Yep.
That's kind of where our thought process was going.
And then if people wanted information on, like ancestry.com or something that they could
They could do it
research.
themselves. Right now, Bill and I do all that.
Yeah, I mean, the computerization is going to actually help that, I
To
understand.
Just sort of the nuts and bolts of.
But another idea too is that if you feel that they're not filling in enough hours or they're not clocking enough hours for a part-time job, maybe they could do some of this research or the data input that's required for Chronicle.
Well, that's the thing. Are they going to do that?
I don't know. So that's, something.
I mean, I think that's where the committee would have to sort of.
Yeah.
Talk with the sexton, say, how are you spending your time and. Right. And
That was just an idea.
yeah, it's a good idea. Well, if we stuck with the 28,000, that breaks down to about $18.56 an hour. If we keep it at 29 hours a week.
And 20 burials at 8 hours is about $3,000.
Right. So.
You're under 29 hours with 3 burials a week. So 3 burials a week times 52 weeks in a year is 156. So
You're never
unless there's a rush.
Well,
in 1 week,
unless
you're
there's
not
a
gonna go over that
pandemic
very
or
much, so.
something, or something blows up.
And that's another thing that Tammy's always said too, there's a lot more cremations nowadays too
Yeah.
versus
Mhm.
full burials.
Mostly we're doing cremations, which are,
Does that lower the time or increase the time?
no, it's, actually, the time is about this, the time is about the same, because you still have to go out and remeasure.
Yeah.
You have to remeasure a single grave 3 or 4 or 5 times.
So cremation or regular burial, not gonna make a difference.
So when you were saying the number of burials, is there more number of cremations or?
Yes.
Oh, so how many cremations are? we
Well, they're
saying?
in that.
Oh, they're in
They're in that
20,
mix.
so-
Yeah, they're in
Okay.
that mix. I'm
Alright.
talking burials. You have a cremation burial or a full box burial. That's your terminology.
Okay.
So if we have a big year of burials at 20, it's probably not going to impinge too much on the 29 hours a week.
No.
It's not gonna take much of the 28,000 either, based on that.
It'd take much
Which
of
is
that.
like 29.69 or so $3,000 on the burial time out of the 28.
Now, keep in mind, now I'm going to segue over a little bit to the money part. Now, the sexton fee that you have recorded, the town does not pay that. The sexton fee is paid by the family. So you either get the $250 from the funeral home, which is gotten from the family, or you get it directly from the family. That's the way it is now.
Right, so I assumed that all of the fees are gonna have to go to the town. There's not gonna be any fees that are gonna go to the sexton.
That's workable.
I mean, I'm guessing that that's the way Barbara's gonna want the money flow.
Yeah, I don't think this is the same as a building inspector fee schedule where, you know, percentage comes to the town and a large percentage goes to the individual. I think we're going to have to look at that before we make any changes to that. Yeah, I think I'm assuming everything will come back. You're right, Lynn. Everything would come back to the town since we're paying directly salary to the individual. Yeah, we can't do salary and benefit and an additional fee schedule. I think that'll work.
Don't forget, Marty, the building inspector fees and split is by statute.
Correct. Well, some by statute, but we also have a negotiated piece to that when we hire that individual, though. I think I'm pretty sure, right? There, I mean, we can negotiate within the statute itself. I mean, there's a certain percentage I think we can adjust. But yeah, I'm not looking to that. But yes, I understand what you're saying, Randy. There's some rules to govern that.
As a revenue line, and then
Yeah, I think well, in this case, I think we stay with the salary then and stay with the hours. I think we're, you know, the way you're explaining it better, Tammy and Bernadette, that yeah, I think we'll probably stay with this. If something happens, we need to change, then we'll negotiate that as we go. But I'm okay with sticking with this for now. I think there's enough of a opening, at least as we get going out here, to see what else we can do, especially the computerization and so on. But this allows us to pay directly to the individual and then go from there.
I'm not following, Marty. Are you saying that you want to go with a salary or an hourly rate?
No, the salary. I said let's go with the salary. The 29 hours. As I described it, I'm sorry. As what's described, it sounds like we're going to be under that 29 hours in most every instance. If we don't, then we'll have to make some adjustment at that point. But I think if we go with this with an amount, then it gives us a starting point. If we have to change down the line, then we'll renegotiate that as well.
Okay.
And so we'll take that back. Yeah.
And just as my own opinion, you know, Bill and Tammy has been volunteering as a treasurer and / you know, assistant sexton for over 30 years. And she's not paying attention to the number of hours that she really devotes to this. And so I think that the number of hours, you know, if they do like half as an intense job as Bill and Tamara have done, you know, I think that it will be worth the $28,000 a year.
Yeah, I think 28, of course, when I was figuring it all, I said, oh, well, you know, keeping the town budget in mind, I was like at the $12,000 mark, but 28 is not a lot of money.
It's not, but I mean, I think it's a good amount for somebody to do a part-time job.
Yes.
Correct. I think that
And
it would
you'll
make the
get
job,
someone.
it will make the job desirable. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing, to get someone.
And sometimes it's really hard to hire people that are part-time, so.
Yep. Right.
Get the right-
Right. We'll certainly find out that, won't we? Okay. So with that in mind, any other questions, issues, inputs, responses to what's written down as a job description?
No.
Okay.
Just really quickly, I looked up a few towns in Connecticut with sextons. Lebanon, Connecticut's one of them. If we want to research that, if we want to go that way. I also just looked up average sexton salary in Connecticut, Economic Research Institute. I don't know if there's anything, you know, very valuable here, but it says the average salary is $36,000 at an hourly average of $18 an hour. So we're all 56 cents hourly.
That's perfect.
Wow, that's great.
So, for what it's worth.
Yeah, the bigger towns, you know, I looked at some of the larger towns and their sexton is 68,000. You know, it gets up there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, like I said, I think if this, we go in at this point and if, things change, we can certainly readjust as we go, but I think this isn't a bad way to start. You're right, it's a little bit, well, a few cents less, as you said, Glenn, than maybe an average, but I think it's a pretty good for what our town has right now.
Yep.
Okay, good start. You guys did a good job. Everybody's done a really nice job pushing this. Okay, you want to look at the fee schedule? Randy, do you need this? I don't want to keep you any longer than you need to. Fee schedule, I think we can work that out here. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah. No, I think you got a really good foundation here, and I think that I'll answer Lynn's question seriatim by email, but she's got most of this covered. I mean, this is very good. But no, I don't think you need me for the fees, because then I get the fever about fees, No, I'm teasing.
That's right. Where's your cut? We'll have to put that in. No, I got you. Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank you very
has a taste. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Okay.
So I guess the most important thing is, what are the fees that we're not aware of? What are the costs that we're not aware of?
Exactly.
Let's go through them. All right, your plot cost, I don't know if you want to leave the word plot. I think grave cost is a better.
Okay.
Okay.
And at the moment, they are $750 per grave. Okay. The sexton fee at the moment is $250 per burial. Now, burial costs, we have never been involved in this. That $1,000 is the fee from Gobble Excavation to do a full box burial.
Okay.
And the $350 at the moment is the fee from Gobble Excavation to do a cremation.
Yeah.
There is no excavator fee because those two fees above are to the excavator. There's no full burial dollar amount. There's no cremation burial amount. Your vault fee is $200 per body.
So what you're saying, Tammy, if I get it right, is that we don't have burial costs. You just have the grave cost is the excavation fee.
Your burial, when you say burial costs, I mean, I have no idea what they're paying the funeral home. Your burial cost is what the funeral home.
Okay, that's outside our purview too here, correct?
That has nothing to do with us.
Correct, okay.
But those fees are our fees.
Okay, so the grave cost is the cost of excavation? Is that what you're saying?
The grave cost is the cost for you to buy a 4-foot by 10-foot grave for you to get into.
Okay. Okay, so the excavation fees then, maybe we need to change the burial cost to excavation fees?
Yeah, instead of burial costs, it should say excavation.
But Marty, wouldn't we pay an excavator to do it?
Of course,
Wouldn't that?
of course. I'm trying to figure out. Okay.
But that's your $1,000 that you're paying Bill Gobble.
Right.
So.
Right, but so the title of burial cost should be changed to something else. So Tammy, that's what you're saying.
Yes, excavator.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Actually, the correct term is opening and closing of the grave.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Maybe in parentheses excavator. And maybe in parentheses excavator costs, so.
Yeah.
Other people understands that.
Yeah, well,
But right now, do people pay that fee? Is it like a pass-through that's
It's
coming?
passed through.
Yeah.
We collect the check at the time of burial, but the check is made out to Gavel Excavation.
Well, we'd have to make it out to the town because.
We don't, the Kent Cemetery Association does not, take the money in and put the money out.
Right. Well, we would have to do that, but that's okay. We can do
Just
that.
oversee it.
Right.
So presently, so from my understanding, and just so it's clear, it's the family that pays this through the funeral home and then it goes, the funeral home.
Except possibly in the case of a cremation, when there's no funeral home involved, then the family pays it. Now, so that's that part. Now, you want to talk about, we've never charged these fees before, but everybody else does, when we were talking about memorial stones and headstones. So you're going to want a fee for a memorial stone location. That's what you call it.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'd say $100 for that. You can look to see what maybe other cemeteries do. And then somewhere in the regulation, there was an item that the sexton had to review the foundation. So foundation review. I have no feel for that, but I had said $50.
The town of Winchester, Connecticut has a cemetery and plot fee schedule right on the website. And we can see all of this. There's regular burial fee schedule, there's cremation burials, there's plot fees. So everything, all the numbers we're talking about here will line up with that.
So they're equivalent?
About, yes.
We periodically, the Kent Cemetery Association, periodically, we would do a survey. We just wanted to make sure that we weren't the most expensive.
We are not. They're a little bit more expensive. The language is a little bit different, but I think their grave cost is about $850 for a resident plot fee. So, but they're about equivalent here. They have a difference between non-resident and resident.
That's a question.
I don't think you can do that.
No?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I
we
don't
have,
think we need to do
I
that.
mean, our,
Just say they have it. Just not.
Well, they're a town, we're a town.
Yeah, I know, but our people are all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
for our membership, I have people in France who would send, annual donations. Savannah, Georgia, Florida, they're everywhere. But they have a connection.
Right.
To the town of Kent and the history of Kent.
The town of Tolland, Connecticut has this same thing. They got fee schedules for grave sites. All of the numbers about pretty much match what we have and what Winchester has. So, they have infant interment.
That's horrible.
They got a lot of information. So,
Yeah.
a lot of.
Now, do they have any extra fees that we don't have? Aside
Yeah,
from
that would be
that?
the big question.
Looking over this briefly. They have resident gravesite, non-resident gravesite. They do the same.
It's a frost charge.
They have a cross charge.
It's regular internment, frost charge, cremated.
That means that they have, they have winter maintenance.
Opening and closing of space. That's the language.
Yeah.
No, they have a lot of regulations right on their website. I mean, they go into great detail here, which is in the regulations.
Like ours, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information out there.
But it also looks like we're in line.
But we're aligned, like these numbers are in line
Yeah.
with other towns, just
In line with
as
everyone.
a cursory view here.
Yeah, I agree with Tammy in that sense. I mean, there's a lot of people that come and go here that would come back and want to be buried, and I just don't see at this point that we need to charge one who is a resident or isn't a resident, who is a lifelong, moved out, Florida, wants to come back, or someone who's moved up here for a few years or something. I don't know. I don't want to be determining that, I don't think it makes a big difference for us right now. I don't think so. What do you guys think?
I think that conversation kind of turns people off and.
Yeah, we're more open than.
We should be welcoming.
Yeah, for a little while anyway. Okay.
There's a lot of information online. I'm just saying there's a lot of towns have their information online here, so it's pretty clear.
Right, but Glenn, again, the fee schedule, which we're talking about right now, is pretty much in line with, you think, what we have here? Nothing, you didn't say
Yes.
anything specific, changing anything, or? Yeah, I'm
I
just
think
looking
it's-
at some of the costs. Go ahead.
I think it's a very good beginning.
Yeah.
And this is, and where is this fee schedule? This is in the regulations? Yeah, so this can be changed easily, so.
Correct, yeah, correct. It'll be under the committee's purview, correct.
So one of the first things the new committee can do is actually look at other towns, look at our fee schedule, and they could add to this if they'd like. But there's plenty of work they can do
Information.
on this.
Right, exactly. But if we give this, as our draft in our initial, within a year or so, hopefully we'll have a committee. It won't just include the Board of Selectmen, and we can, take a look at it and see how it is over the year. See how everything works out with the sections, job description, the pay schedule, the fee schedule, and so on. And then, like I said, the information we have in the committee itself, and make sure it stays within, purview of the ordinance. I guess at that point, that's pretty much, we're doing our job. I think we've done a good job.
Okay.
Is the
All right,
budget, your line item in your budget, have you given that?
This is the first we've talked.
There'll be another meeting.
No, we haven't.
One of our many.
No,
I'm just gonna throw a number out where I think you'll be safe, which does not include the salaried position, which probably wouldn't be in that budget line item.
Yeah, we would. It's gonna be a department and it's gonna have a salary.
Okay, but it won't, but the maintenance
Yeah.
line, I'm gonna throw $50,000 out there.
Yeah, okay. I had
Basically
kind
the
of a
mowing
rough
and
draft.
trimming. We're gonna have to decide whether or not we
Yeah.
wanna hire a person or
You
not.
can do all that, but just so you've got a number
Yeah.
in your head.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I was looking at, I did a rough estimate around 44, but that's good. We can take a look at that. We'll dig in that in a little bit, but we'll have to add the salary as well. So, okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
We're good to go.
Progress.
To go.
No, Bill and I are good to go.
Let's go. It's this one.
Okay.
Chapter 5 doesn't even say what the book title is.
Okay, you overwhelm me on all that. You did a good job. Very good job of that. Probably wouldn't take much right now anyway. But all right, well, I'd like to go ahead and then hear a motion to adopt the ordinance, the committee structure, the section job description, and the fee structure into our minutes. And so we could therefore pull it together and get ready for a town meeting. And so therefore at that point, then we can look at forming the committee and moving forward to hire a sexton, which in regard to section, so this is outside of the motion, but the section will be a responsibility of the Board of Selectmen at this point, because we haven't been able to pull the committee together, but we will need to move quickly on that. And we've talked a little bit about the expediency. We need to find a good sexton. The quicker we can get out there and look, and as we said, there's a couple of people that have already kind of approached us, heard about this, but I think we can pull a good candidate in. We'll be able to be in good shape for the opening on 1 April. But how about a motion then for the ordinance, the committee structure, the section job, and all that? Lynn, make that motion?
Well, the
Any
only
question?
problem I have is that I think that Randy's gonna come back with a bunch of clarifications on the ordinance based on what he said.
He said he was going to answer your questions. I don't remember all
Right,
your
and
questions.
and some of my questions were specifically about wording in the ordinance.
Okay.
So I'm not
I
sure
thought
we
he
can
thought it was-
approve that right now, but
Okay.
I mean, I think
No,
we
okay,
can.
that's good. Yeah, I'll get it to him. All right, Lynn, I got you. I'll get it to him, and then if we have to, we'll throw that on Friday. I'll get a good answer back from him and your questions as well. He said he would be answering your questions. Thought he said he was okay with the ordinance, but I'll check on that. I'll get with him tomorrow and get an answer right away. So if we get that, we can get that by Friday, and then we could look at our date for a meeting or the town meeting at that point.
Could we share Joyce's document with him so he could
No,
work
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What was that,
But
Joyce?
I
I'm
would be
sorry.
happy, I'd be happy to make an ordinance that would approve the regulations and the job description and the fee schedule as we've discussed it tonight.
Make a motion or
Motion. Pardon?
motion. Okay, well, I got you. No, you said you want to make an ordinance that accepted the, but okay. So Lynn makes a motion to accept the committee structure, the section job description, and the fee structure. So that motion is on the table. I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Okay.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor then of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion passes to accept the committee structure, the section job description, and the fee structure. Okay, and I'll get the information on the ordinance, and we'll deal with that as quick as we can get it back from Randy. Very good. Okay. Any other question, concerns, or anything on the cemetery issue before I move to any public comment? None? Okay. We'll move to the next section. Any public comment from anyone out there?
So I'll just leave this, Bernadette always has something to say, sorry. But I'll leave this page with Joyce and so then you have this reference. I think it seems as if it's probably from the Kent Historical Society, but it didn't reference the book name. It's chapter 5. I'll leave this.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for adjournment then.
So moved.
All right. Glenn, second. I'll do that. I'll second that. All right. Then we are adjourned at 6:09. And thank you everyone very much. I really do appreciate everything. You guys did a great job. Really nice job across the board.
Definitely thanks to the Board of Selectmen for being.
Hey, listen, one of the things you have to give us, Tammy and Bernadette, are some of those jokes about the cemetery. We're going to need those as well.
That's Bill's job.
Okay, yes, it is.
Bill's-
It usually
Bill's
is.
the
You're right.
jokester.
All right. I'll get with him and get some turnover on that and share it with the board. But all right, thank you guys all very, very much. I do appreciate all your work. Joyce, too, everywhere. Bill, yeah, Ricky. You all have a nice evening, and we will see you soon.
Very.
Thank you.